Okay, what is this one based on? What are we doing here? Well, we did a couple of things. Okay, first of all, we started off with a sound that was like... I wanted to have kind of a... Well, it's 12 decibel per octave, but I wanted to kind of have an old-fashioned synth bassy sound to that kind of... I'm sure there's a genre to describe it, drum beat that I was playing to. But you can hear how... That's a fat sound. I'm sorry to say it, oh my gosh, I said fat. That's a fat sound. And let me point out that we're only using one oscillator here. It's set to a sawtooth wave. It's at 32 feet, and there's a little bit of portamento going on too. The high pass filter is not used at all in this sound, but we do have a low pass filter up between about 5.5 with about 5 as a peak. Not a huge amount of resonance, because resonance is the enemy of fat. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. Everybody disagrees with me. Resonance is the enemy of fat. If you want a really fat sound, you can't have the resonance amplifying certain frequencies unless they're low frequencies. It depends on how many filters you have, etc. Anyway, but this sound, it's got a big low end, it's very saturated, it's very juicy. That's what it's for. And you might also have noticed that there's this. In the sound, as it was happening, there was that sound. And what I've done is I have taken the pink noise out and I have put it into the external signal processor. It is a external signal, really. And how about these headphones? And it's going into the signal in, and we have it coming out of the bandpass filter. I have shaped it so it's a certain grouping of the noise output. So it's not just the full-on pink noise, it's kind of a bandpass version of the pink noise. Here, let's listen to it. So I've made that, and I just wanted it to have kind of a sizzle, kind of an extra little distorted, nasty noise happening at the same time as this big, rich, 12 decibel per octave, but yet fat bass sound. So that's what I did. And I took that, and I put it into, let's see, where did I put it? Okay, I put it into the VCA, and the second VCA, and then I have it controlled by the negative envelope of envelope 1. So envelope 1's negative envelope is telling us how much noise is going to be put through to the external signal in, which is what I used. So we took an internal signal, which is the noise, put it through the external signal processor, shaped it with the bandpass filter, put it into the second VCA where its amplitude was shaped by the inverse version of envelope 1, and then it goes into the external signal in to be processed by the filters, the high pass and low pass, although the high pass is not used, so only the low pass filter. So we had that going on, and then part of the way through I started making some really horrible racket with VCO2, which was set to the ring modulator. Here, let's listen to it. And how are we getting the ring modulator to do that? Well, it's set to ring modulator in oscillator 2. We have it at 16 feet, although I did move it around. We adjusted the level, whenever it was going on. What we have going on is we have the VCO2 being controlled by the positive version of envelope generator 1. Envelope generator 1's output, its positive output, is controlling the pitch of VCO2. And when VCO2 is set to ring modulator, it's a little bit of a different thing, as we can hear. We're not having any pitch. It's not really playing a set pitch. It's not playing like oscillator 1 is, where we're getting melodic things. It's just being controlled entirely by this envelope, and you can hear it scooping up pitch-wise. And when you change the pitch when it's set to the ring modulator, you're going to get this effect. And what I was doing while I was playing was switching different octaves, and as you switch to different octaves, you get different sounds. So we add in the bass sound. It's really quite kind of a horrible racket. But yeah, that's the basic thing that was going on. Well, it's not basic really at all. It's kind of a crazy and convoluted thing. But I want you to remember that the external signal processor can process external signals even if they're signals coming out of the device itself. And so you have that bandpass filter. You actually, again, you have two filters, and then you have a bandpass filter down here that you can use with any sound that you want that you can get out of this thing, which is, you know, you can theoretically run the phone's output into this and then bandpass shape your output. And that's awesome. That's really awesome. And that's what we have going on here. The envelope 2 setting, envelope 1 was set to about 3.75 for the attack and about 4.5 for the release. Envelope generator 2 had a relatively quick attack, relatively quick decay time, high sustain level, and no release. And that is that sound, that crazy, crazy sound. Well, that was crazy. Okay, so what did I do with this one? This one I was more interested in making sure we had the high pass filter, low pass filter, band pass craziness going on. And so again, we had a square wave that was close to square, 16 foot, sawtooth wave, 16 foot. The pitch was 0 on oscillator 2. More portamento than we've had in previous sounds, about up to 3. The oscillators were basically mixed the same way. We had some frequency modulation going on, which would have been the modulation generator to about 3.5, and we also had an external input. That came from, let's see, the output of VCA. I don't even remember what I did here. Pink noise coming into the VCA, being controlled by the wheel coming out of the VCA and going into total. So that means all 3 of these top knobs were basically acting as pink noise modulation. So we had that going on. And the high pass filter was set to 4 with a peak of 8, so we were again on the verge of self-oscillation. We had, of course, the total input modulating this by about 3, so that's pink noise modulating the high pass filter to about 3. The low pass filter, we're up to 7. We had a peak of about 9, so we're on the verge of self-oscillation there. But there was no modulation on the low pass filter. Then we had this wackiness of, again, we have white noise going into the sample and hold. The clock for the sample and hold is the square wave, but it's not set to the right-hand pulse wave, which gives the sample and hold a really good pulse to use as a clock. So things are going to be kind of crazy and random. The output of this is going into the external signal processor, which is really interesting because that's a control voltage. And then the output of that control voltage is going straight into the external signal in. So that's some weird, crazy stuff. And that's why that sound has kind of this crazy shake to it at all times. I wanted to give something that really sort of gave it a mid-rangey sound, which is what 12 decibel per octave synthesizers really excel in, as well as disturbing the stability of the oscillators using pink noise. So that's why our sound is all distorted and pitch imbalance is for those reasons. And yeah, so I wanted to make something messy and dirty and crazy and MS-20-ish, and that's what we had.